here today because Joe Biden is going to have a war propaganda show next week. He's calling it a summit for democracy, but we're here to expose it for what it really is, which is a summit of hypocrisy. And we are having our summit against hypocrisy. Joe Biden's war propaganda show about demonizing Russia, demonizing China, demonizing Venezuela, demonizing Cuba, demonizing Iran, and speaking in the name of democracy, when at the very same time they're suppressing our civil liberties over here. They're censoring us on social media. They're empowering the FBI to spy on us. They're violating our civil liberties. They're suppressing third parties. And he wants to lecture the world on democracy. Well, we're here to say we don't want a war propaganda show. We don't want the summit for democracy. We're here to oppose the drive toward war. We need jobs and schools and healthcare and education here in the United States of America. We don't need a war propaganda show. They're spending all this money to fly in leaders from around the world to publicize this war propaganda show to build the case. Our enemies aren't in Venezuela. Our enemies aren't in Iran. Our enemies aren't in China or Russia. Our enemies are on Wall Street. Our enemies are in the Pentagon. Our enemies are among the billionaire, multinational oligarchy that's running this country and grinding this country into poverty.
That's right.
We are here to oppose Joe Biden's propaganda show. We are here to say that it's time to fight for jobs, health care, and education here in the United States. We need a better country at home, not more wars around the world. We reject Joe Biden's propaganda show. We say he is not an American patriot. He is loyal to the big multinational corporations that have been plundering this country and have been grinding us into poverty, destroying American jobs and schools. He wants to send more and more money, billions of dollars into Ukraine. Well, America is falling apart. He wants to provoke a confrontation with China in the Taiwan Straits while America is falling apart. We say jobs for America, schools for America, healthcare for America, not a propaganda show, a summit of hypocrisy, a phony democracy summit to spread war propaganda. We're here to oppose it. On the microphone. Gavin, go ahead.
They tell us that all these countries, Russia, Iran, China, Venezuela, are somehow our enemy. But in reality, these countries, think about China. China has lifted 800 million people out of poverty. That doesn't hurt us. That helps us. Their fight is our fight, and this fight did not come to us. But we say, bring it on!
Yeah.
Biden, George Soros, and the globalists, they want war with Russia and China because they are creating an economic alternative to the United States imperialism. Biden and the Democrats and the Republicans are leading us to a nuclear war, which the imperialist powers provoke. They're mobilizing and sending money to Ukrainian Nazis. They're voting to start a third nuclear war with Russia and China. These two parties are driving us towards a new imperialist world war, a war Americans have nothing to gain. They are playing with our lives. They're playing with American lives. The way out is not war, it's peace and development. Defund Ukraine! Defund Ukraine! Defund Ukraine! Defund Ukraine! Defund Ukraine! Defund Ukraine!
Defund Ukraine. No nuclear war. No nuclear war. No nuclear war. No nuclear war. We want to live.
No nuclear war. I have 2 kids, and I do not want them to die in a fiery death. I just want them to have beautiful, wonderful education, good schools. We need infrastructure. We need more infrastructure. We need to build up our country. No degrowth. No war in Ukraine. We need to stop all movements toward nuclear war. For my kids, for your kids, for all children on this whole planet.
Joe Biden, you are a hypocrite. Instead of going all over the world trying to impose so-called democracy, how about we have some democracy here in the United States?
That's right.
20 years after our genocidal war against Iraq, not a single war criminal has even gotten so much as a ticket.
The only people who have been jailed are the people who exposed the war crimes and exposed the torture. It's time to free all the political prisoners, from the left and from the right. Free all the political prisoners from the 1960s. Free the black revolutionaries. Free the January 6th political prisoners. Free Julian Assange. Drop the charges against Chairman Omali Yeshitela and his friends.
Right.
Hands off
And his
Uhuru!
other
Hands off Uhuru!
No political prisoners in the United States. Do not open your mouth to accuse any other nation of being authoritarian until you clean up your own house, Joe Biden. Stop the hypocrisy. We need regime change here in America. Our enemies are not in Tehran or Moscow or Beijing. Our enemies are in Wall Street and the city of London. Russia and China are not our enemies. 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 Democracy here. Democracy here. Democracy here. All right, I have a question for you folks. When was the last time Beijing took money out of your paycheck? When was the last time that Moscow sent your child to die in a war? I have a question for you. When was the last time that Tehran put your mom into a hospital and would not allow her to get out of it because you do not have enough money to pay for her health care? I don't know about you folks, but it is Washington that has imposed that on me. It is Washington that has imposed that on American families for decades. So no, our enemies are not in Tehran. Our enemies are not in Beijing. Our enemies are not in Moscow. Our enemies are not anywhere else on the planet except for sitting right here in Washington, D.C., sitting in the White House, sitting in the Congress buildings, warring across the planet for conquest. They are the ones taxing you. They are the ones causing every issue in your life. Have you ever been attacked by someone from Beijing? Have you ever been attacked by someone from Moscow? Have you ever been attacked by someone from Tehran? Have you ever been attacked by someone from any country that the United States brutally tears apart on a yearly basis? How many drone strikes can make up for the fact that the U.S. isn't making enough money? How many times can we rip countries apart and call it democracy? I don't see democracy in Libya, where we ripped their leader out of power, murdered him, and there's now open-air slavery. I don't see democracy in Iraq, where they invaded their country, killed millions of people, and occupy it to this day. They occupy huge swaths of Syria, huge swaths of every country on the planet that tries to stand up and build its own position in this world. My question for you is truly, Americans, when was the last time someone from these countries came and took money out of your paycheck or food out of your mouth? They never do that. Joe Biden does that. The rest of the congressmen and everyone else do that on a daily basis, every single year for decades. That's all I have to say. Joe Biden, I just want to know how you sleep at night. Sending $100 billion of our tax money to the Ukraine when homeless people sleep blocked from your White House. Sleep at night. I was raised in a Baptist church, and that is not what Jesus taught me to do.
No!
Are you a real Catholic, Joe Biden, or a fake Catholic, Joe Biden?
He's a fake Catholic!
What are you? An entire generation of millennials get laughed out of the bank when we try to get a loan for our wife and our 3 kids because we went to college. And instead of forgiving our debt, you forgive the debt of Silicon Valley Bank. The billionaires get their debts forgiven every time, and the working class get kicked in the face.
That's right!
You nailed Jesus Christ to the cross, and you can nail me up as well.
but I will go down telling the truth about your hypocrisy. I pray for you, Joe Biden. I pray you find the Lord, and I pray that you wake up tomorrow and take care of your working class.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. About the American people. Hell yes, I would.
How did this stop? This was a great moment. June 30th, 2019. The leader of People's Korea and the leader of the United States shook hands. They met, the first president ever to visit the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. We had Donald Trump trying to make peace with a country that is still technically at war with the United States. Donald Trump was trying to open the door to peaceful reunification of the Korean Peninsula. There would be hope to bring the troops home from South Korea. There would be hope that there could be denuclearization, that North Korea wouldn't feel threatened anymore, that there could be no more bombs and weapons, and the people of Korea could reunify. And Donald Trump going to People's Korea was sabotaged. It was sabotaged by John Bolton and the neocons, the same forces that got us into Ukraine, the same forces that are escalating and pushing buttons against China and Taiwan on the Taiwan Strait, the same forces that want World War III sabotaged the peace process on the Korean Peninsula. We're here to say, finish what Trump started. We want peaceful reunification of the Korean Peninsula. We want U.S. leaders and the leaders of People's Korea to sit down. We would like to see trade between the United States and People's Korea. We would like to see those railroads in South Korea that have been built. We'd like to see them in action and see the Korean people trading with each other. We don't want war. We don't want money wasted on international confrontations. And we also don't want a police state. And at the same time that the big bankers who control Joe Biden, the Silicon Valley monopolists and fascists, the same forces that control Joe Biden, are waging a war not just around the world, but against the American people. They are driving our country into poverty. Our trains are derailing. People are breathing in deadly chemicals. The water is not properly purified. Jobs are falling apart. Schools are falling apart. It's a nightmare. They have waged a war against us. And instead of rebuilding America, they're trying to move toward a low-wage police state. That's what they're doing here in the United States. They're trying to move toward a low-wage police state. We saw what happened, what's been revealed about January 6th. That was a setup. We saw that those people were led to do what they did for propaganda purposes. We call for an amnesty. We don't endorse what the people did, but they were enabled to do it and set up to do it by the American government. The FBI, the Secret Service, other agencies enabled what happened on January 6th to happen. Those folks were entrapped. And we say that until they're going to be honest with the public about what really happened on January 6th, there needs to be an amnesty for those who've been arrested. And the same goes for the Uhuru movement. A group of black revolutionaries, black activists, had guns pointed in their faces, drones flown into their homes. They were terrorized and accused of being Russian agents. Why? Because they were organizing for the rights of black people, organizing for the rights in their community, providing services that were not available in their community. They're waging a war against us. At the same time, they're waging a war against China, Russia, Iran, Venezuela, Cuba, and any country that dares break out of their financial system. And it is our responsibility to oppose it and to join arm in arm with the people of the world against imperialism.
No depleted uranium! No depleted uranium! No depleted uranium!
No
Depleted uranium!
I'm here to call out U.S. imperialism. President Joe Biden, stop spreading imperialism. It's wrong to say that Russia and China is also imperialist. That is not true. The American government has 1,000 military bases abroad. China's like 1, Russia's like 8. We are the imperialists, not us, not the American people, the American government, the elites, Asian continent. For Asians, the American government should focus on us here, the American people. We're suffering. We don't have retirement money. Our students are in debt. They can't buy a home. They can't start a family. We need to focus in America. Let's stop meddling over there. Stop the war in Ukraine. Stop the wars in China. Let's focus on America. Let's love our people. We love each other. It's about love, Joe Biden. If you love us, focus on us. Spend money on us. Invest on us.
Bring my cousin home from the Philippines. Bring the troops home.
No to EFTA. EFTA is the Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement that they claim is a temporary military base in the Philippines, but it is a real military base. So no to EFTA. No to EFTA. No to EFTA. No to EFTA. No to EFTA.
No to ECA. Right. What's to go next? Anybody? One or two more people.
Biden sending billions of dollars to the Nazis in Ukraine and not one penny to the people who he poisoned in East Palestine, Ohio. We need money for water, not for war.
Money for water.
Not for war. Money for water, not for war. Money for water, not for war. Free East Palestine. 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 No more war. No war. No more 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 war. Democracy here at home. Democracy here at home. Democracy here at home. Democracy here at home. Democracy here at home.
I want to make a point here for those of you in the audience. People here who are standing here with flags, we're not all from the same party. We don't all believe in the same thing. Some of us come from the right, some of us come from the left. Why are we here? Because we all agree that we do not want war. We do not want nuclear war going to kill our children. And we also don't want any more war spending, because every dollar that we spend in Ukraine means that there's one less dollar to feed a hungry child. Right now, 1 in 4 children are going to go to bed tonight hungry. How is this possible in one of the wealthiest countries? To tell you why. The reason is they have $7 trillion to give to the bankers, because that's who they care about, but they don't care about us. And if you're really interested in stopping the possibility of war, if you want to stop poverty and the war on the working class, then come over here and join us. Come on over.
Yeah, let's march out. Thank you everybody for your Democracy at home. 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 Democracy at home.